All right, everybody. Welcome back to Public Sports Announcement. I'm your host, Alvin. I'm here with my fellow co-hosts.
What's going on, everyone? This is Sam.
Riz is over here. I hope everybody's doing well.
Yes, we wish our best out to everybody out there. Just another episode of PSA. We're going to be a little off schedule this week. We're trying to fit some extra content in, so don't mind us. Just keep listening. We're going to have another episode coming later this week. You know where you can listen to us, SoundCloud, go to Fi Life, reach out to us on Twitter, email us, phone, whatever it takes. Please get in touch with us. We want to hear from y'all. Also, go to Fi Life. We've got some memorabilia, shirts, jackets, hoodies, crew necks, shorts, hats, whatever you want. All some dope gear. I got myself a shirt. My whole family's got shirts. My friends got shirts. They're really dope. So everybody get some. This week's going to have the same pattern as the last two episodes. So heavy football content. And before we get started, I would like to send our thoughts and prayers out to anyone affected by the shooting at the Madden event. As we all know, there's no place on this world for heinous acts like that. That's just, truly, truly unimaginable. And thoughts and prayers out to anyone who knows someone who was affected, because I couldn't imagine losing somebody like that. All right, so today's episode is going to be the AFC and NFC East. As you guys know, we picked two divisions. We talk about them in depth, let you know what they did this offseason, let you know what we think they're going to be doing this upcoming season. Then we do a little over-under game with how many wins they're going to have. And last but not least, we rank the divisions, how we think they're going to fare out. So this week, we're starting with the AFC East. First team on the PSA table is the Miami Dolphins. So, Reezaan, let us know what the Dolphins did this offseason.
Yeah, so the Dolphins didn't really make any splashy moves. They did release Ndamukong Suh, at one point the highest paid defensive player in the National Football League. He is now with the Los Angeles Rams. They signed Josh Sitton, who's one of the better guards in the league, to a 2-year contract worth up to $18 million. They also signed Georgia State's very own Albert Wilson to a 3-year deal. They brought in Frank Gore. That move's really a homer move. He went to University of Florida. He's expressed his desire to play for the Dolphins before, so I think that was just a little homecoming. And they also brought in Danny Amendola from their division rivals on a 2-year, $12 million deal. So interesting moves, nothing that tells us that they're going to take over the division. To me, this is a team that seems like they might be in the bottom half of the league again, maybe even the bottom quarter. Ryan Tannehill's coming back from injury, so I guess that's also good news, but he lost someone that catches a lot of passes in Jarvis Landry. How do you guys think this team's going to fare in their division, and what do you think about some of the moves they made?
I don't think this team is very good at all. You said bottom quarter, and I think that's probably where they're headed. They don't really know who their quarterback is. They don't have a standout player on the offense or defense. Their defense is aging. They're kind of a team without a direction like we talked about a few weeks ago. So I don't expect much from this team.
Yeah, I'm with Sam. They made a few offseason moves. None of them are going to bump them up to beat the Patriots. I think this division's a little sloppy, so I think they're going to be, outside of the Patriots, the Bills and Jets are all winnable games, but the Dolphins kind of feel like the worst team in this division. Maybe the Bills, but there's just nothing truly impressive about the Dolphins this upcoming season and their offseason. So, yeah, I expect them to be in the bottom quarter of the league as well.
Yeah, I think looking at their moves, we were all watching draft together, and we were kind of surprised they didn't go after a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill isn't a bad quarterback, but I don't think he's proved that he can win, and they need to make a move on that soon, and I think they will this year. I definitely think they're the worst team in the division. I think we'll talk about the rest of their team, so I'm not going to – the rest of the teams in the division, so I won't bring them up. But looking at this Dolphins team, there's no direction, and there's no transcendent player. There's no player that's going to take him over the top, and if you look at any team in the NFL right now, any team that we're talking about being a contender, they have someone who's going to lift them and help them win a Super Bowl. The Dolphins don't even have someone to help them win 5 games, and that's a problem in this league and in that division. So I think we're all in agreement. Not an exciting offseason, not a really good team. Let's just get to the over and under and cut the clock.
Yeah, let's just stop dragging us through the mud. Over, under, 6.5.
I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well.
I'm also going under. Yeah, I got them in like 4 games, maybe 3.
To me at best, this is a 5-11 team.
This is not going to be a good year for the Miami fans. But as you guys will see as we say some of the other over and unders, but there's a little higher than the rest of the division. So that's a little surprising to me.
Yeah, and I think one thing about the Dolphins is they signed a head coach, Adam Gase, who was supposed to be a quarterback whisperer and was supposed to really boost this offense, and he hasn't done that. So I think you have to look out for a potential head coach firing maybe in midseason if they're not performing the way their owner wants.
So are you firing a quarterback whisperer if you haven't gotten him a quarterback yet?
Firing a quarterback whisperer if he hasn't been able to build an offense yet. Like, he's been there. This is his second year, and everything that Jarvis Landry has said about him has been pretty negative. Anything that any player that's come out and said anything about him has been pretty negative. Jay Ajayi, he wants his offense to be run a particular way, and if a player is even working to get that, but they don't fit his mold, he wants them out of there and isn't willing to work with them. And the Dolphins don't have enough capital to get the stars that he wants. So I don't know. Would you give him another year? If he goes out and wins 3 games, are you giving him another year?
If he goes out and wins 3 games, we're going to get a good draft pick where we can draft a quarterback.
So you'd hold Adam Gase for another year?
Well, if he's as good a quarterback coach as you say he is, because I've never really heard that about him. But if he is supposedly a quarterback whisperer and this is our chance to go get a quarterback, I'll give him 1 more year.
Yeah, I've heard him to be the quarterback whisperer as well. But this would be this is the last year I'd give Gase, because I'm not a big fan of Ryan Tannehill. I didn't think his ceiling was that high. But the Dolphins put their eggs in Tannehill's basket, and Gase was right there with him putting his eggs in Tannehill's basket all along. He was trying to develop him, and that might not have been his guy, but the NFL doesn't get long leashes, and you ran yours, and he didn't show me anything to be like, let's give him another chance. At best, you showed me you were just kind of average and couldn't pull Tannehill out the dirt. So find somebody new and start fresh with our new draft pick and hopefully with a new quarterback.
Yeah, this would be his 3rd year. So I think most head coaches expect a 3-year leash. I think in the 3rd year, you have to start showing me some progress. And from all the predictions we've made, they're not going to be able to come to those standards.
Nope.
Yeah, I agree.
And if anything, they've gotten worse.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So, you got to go. Next up, the Buffalo Bills. How are they looking this offseason?
So pretty interesting offseason, actually. Kyle Williams, one of the all-time great Buffalo Bills, one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the league. He re-signed for 1 year. They also brought in Trent Murphy, the edge rusher, on a 3-year, $22 million deal that could reach a max value of $30 million. They also signed Star Lutulele from the Carolina Panthers, defensive tackle, for 5 years, $50 million. They brought in Chris Ivory. They also brought in A.J. McCarron, former quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. And they also drafted Josh Allen. So pretty young team, got rid of Tyrod Taylor. Clearly they knew what direction they wanted to go with a new quarterback. LaShawn McCoy is getting up there in age. They don't have great receivers. They have Kelvin Benjamin and Corey Coleman, both first-rounders. Decent offensive line, actually pretty bad offensive line. I've watched them in preseason. And definitely a young and entertaining defense. So what do you guys think about this team?
I like them on the defensive side of the ball. Young and growing defense. I kind of like that. I like the A.J. McCarron signing just to give Josh Allen another year or 2 to sit on the pine, ride the pine a little bit. Like you said, McCoy's getting old. The offense is not really going anywhere. The team is just kind of riding behind Josh Allen. And so this team's outlook, even this season, the next season, and season after that, rides on Josh Allen. If Josh Allen pans, then this team will probably be at worst an average team, maybe a pretty good team.
Yeah, I also think they're much better on the defensive side, but I don't think their offense is that far behind. Like, their receivers aren't that bad. They got Kelvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, Corey Coleman, Jeremy Curley. That's not a bad top 4 receivers. Then Charles Clay at the tight end, decent pass-catching tight end, and he can get open in the red zone. Shady McCoy, I still don't think he's started aging yet, because he put up one of his best career years last year, and I think he can do that again this year. I think it really just matters who they put at quarterback and what kind of production they get. They also have a pretty bad offensive line, so that's going to affect the quarterback a lot. But I think this team is just a few steps away from being decent, average to slight contender. But they're still always going to be in the Pats' shadow until that dynasty ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But everything we heard about Josh Allen pre-draft, I've seen on display already. Great pocket awareness, really strong arm. I mean, that kid has a cannon. He could fit the ball in tight windows. I haven't seen his accuracy really be a problem. I have seen, though, that his offensive line be a problem. One of the biggest worries that a quarterback has when they enter the league is getting away from those edge rushers in the NFL. And he's going to have some problem with that, even though he's a big body. A lot of people compared him to Cam Newton, which I don't necessarily see, but I could see the body size being compared to that. His quickness is definitely not like Cam's. He can't run like Cam. But I think Josh Allen could be a really good quarterback in the NFL. He's going to be someone who other teams are going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future. His weapons are pretty nice, but that offensive line needs to get stronger before this team can even think about the playoffs. They're going to have to spend some money there. They have a lot of youth, which is great for spending money, and I think the Bills are a team that want to spend money, as showcased with Star Lutulele and Trent Murphy. I mean, they've almost committed, $20 million between the two guys per year for the next 3 to 5 years. This could be an exciting team. I mean, like Sam said, they're in the Pats' shadow, and it's going to take a while to get out of it. But once they can, I think these teams realize it, and they're racing for the top spot. That's why the Jets drafted their quarterback. That's why the Bills got theirs. Now it's the Dolphins' turn. But the Bills could be an exciting team, but I think we're a year away from really having that conversation.
I think a year is kind of generous. And I've been watching a little bit of Josh Allen too, and he does show a lot of promise, like you said, absolute cannon. But he doesn't look like, he looks like he needs a year to sit.
Yeah.
He doesn't look ready. Not to say that every quarterback has to be ready as of like day one, but it's never really a good sign when your first round early pick isn't necessarily ready. Even if you knew he wasn't gonna be ready, we all kind of want him to be, and Josh Allen's not there. And I think that is gonna force McCarron to start, which is gonna make this offense look absolutely atrocious. Yeah, and I'm just not a believer in A.J. McCarron at all.
Yeah.
No confidence.
So what teams have said before, and when you have bad offensive lines like this, is that you just invested the 7th overall pick in this guy and close to $25 million and basically your future. Why even play him when your offensive line is that bad? I don't believe in that. That's what teams have said before. That's what it has seemed like, is throw the guy that you paid a little bit of money to and you don't have that much invested in, and protect your other guy. And that's what the Bills might end up doing. I think you go ahead and start the kid and really hope your offensive line can get it together.
Yeah, I'm not so ready to give up on them with A.J. McCarron at quarterback, though, because we haven't seen him start an NFL game yet. So I want to see what he gives us first.
Vegas got the Bills winning 6 games. How y'all feel about 6? Honestly, I got even at 6. They 6-10.
You're pushing.
Yeah, I got him pushing at 6-10.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen, because of his cannon, they're going to be throwing a lot, and I think with A.J. McCarron too, which is going to put him in some tough situations because Tyrod Taylor was really good at protecting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go over, but by 1 game. I think they go 7-9 because their defense is extremely talented. I don't think we talked about that enough, but their defense is really, really talented.
Yeah, I think they're good enough to go 7-9. Does anyone know how many wins they had last year?
They were a playoff team last year. I think they went 9-7.
9-7.
Maybe even 10-6. 9-7.
No way they went 10-6.
9-7. They were a playoff team.
They won 9-7. Yep.
Okay. I think 7-9 is a good record for them. So I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. Next on the list, the New York Jets. Jets.
Yeah, so the New York Jets, man, gave up 3 second-round picks to trade up from 6-3 with the Indianapolis Colts to select the quarterback of the future, Sam Darnold. But to ensure that Sam Darnold was ready, they also signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year deal, and they also brought back Josh McCown. Now, they did dish out some serious dough to Trumaine Johnson, cornerback of the Los Angeles Rams, or former quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams, gave him a deal worth $72.5 million over 5 years, so $14.5 million a year to Trumaine Johnson. Also signed Terrell Pryor on a 1-year deal. Brought in Avery Williamson, linebacker, on a 3-year, $22.5 million deal. Brought in Isaiah Crowell. Re-signed Morris Claiborne. Those are some of the moves that they made. The Jets are an exciting team, I think. Sam Darnold was my favorite quarterback in this draft. He showed promise. He showed why he was selected 3rd overall. They also have a really young and rising defense. They're continuously picking in the top 7 or 8 picks, so they always end up landing a guy. I remember 3 years ago it was Leonard Williams from USC. Then last year it was Jamal Adams, and this year Sam Darnold. So what do you guys think about this young rising team? How long do you think it'll take to come over the Patriots dynasty?
Yeah, I also think they're super exciting. One thing you didn't mention is Todd Bowles. I think he's one of the better coaches in the NFL.
Yep.
His teams never seem to disappoint. If y'all remember last year, we thought the Jets were going to be the worst team in the NFL, and they won 6 games. And I think a lot of that has to do with him. They're extremely talented, especially the secondary. I want to talk about that because the trio of Marcus May, Jamal Adams, and Tremaine Johnson is going to be deadly. Morris Claiborne is a little bit of a fall off, but that secondary is really good. Also, I like Robbie Anderson. I think he's really talented, and the rest of the offense isn't bad. So if they just get their guy at quarterback, whether it's Sam Darnold or Teddy Bridgewater, I'm going to be really excited to watch this team.
From all reports that I've seen, Sam Darnold is going to be their week 1 starter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've seen as well. I kind of expected him to win the job early, but it looks like he looks to be pretty good, and I expect him now to take the starting job.
Yeah, and Teddy Bridgewater's probably getting traded.
Yeah, which I think that'll be fantastic. I think they can really get something for Teddy Bridgewater. But I like the Jets. I think the Jets had a fantastic offseason, and the Jets are making some great moves as far as competing in this division and in this league in the next couple of years. They're just waiting on Tom Brady to retire. But in the meantime, stacking up on talent all over the field on both sides of the ball. So with Sam Darnold at quarterback, in 3 years, they could be the best team in this division, no problem. They've got the best future outlook, and they've got a lot of cap space, and they show that they're willing to spend it. So I like Sam Darnold. I love Jamal Adams. I think he's the next best safety in this league. It's only a matter of time, to be honest with you. It really is.
Yeah. They're also a team, Alvin, to go after your boy Le'Veon Bell. So I think it was Sam who predicted for the Jets to land him. So, you add in Le'Veon Bell. They're also a team being talked about for Khalil Mack because they want some edge rushers. I mean, look, they have the money to do it, and they have the draft picks to do it. Once you have your quarterback of the future, you can make a lot of moves like the Eagles have done, like the Rams have done to really boost your team. If you can land Le'Veon Bell and Khalil Mack somehow, dude, you might be one of the better teams in the league next year. And
like
that's going to attract receiver talent too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Le'Veon, Sam Darnold. That's going to attract some pretty nice receivers over there.
Yeah, and Terrell Price has some struggle off years and stuff. But I like him. Did y'all see with him flinching when old boy was about to punch him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, who flinches when a helmetless guy is about to punch you when you got on that helmet? Like, my man out there got a helmet on, bro. But anyway,
that's trying to get a concussion, bro.
That was
who's gonna get a concussion? I got on the helmet. You ain't got on the helmet. If anybody's scared, it needs to be you.
No, the Jets can be a really exciting team if they might even get Khalil Mack this offseason if the Raiders can't agree on a contract, and apparently John Gruden hasn't spoken to Khalil Mack yet. I mean, that's a cause for concern, and you throw a first-round pick there, and the Jets might be a pretty stacked team by next offseason. We might be talking about them already taking over the Patriots and contending for an AFC championship game.
Yep, really, really, really soon. So Vegas is a little stingy with the over-under for the Jets. 6 wins.
I'm going over.
I'm going over. Yeah, for sure. I'm going over.
I think the Jets go 8-8. 9-7 even maybe.
I'm going over. If Sam Darnold performs, they can definitely go 9-7.
Yeah, and somebody's got to win games in this division. Like the Bills won 9 last year. The Dolphins won a couple. So somebody's gonna have to win games. I got 8-8. I don't know. 9 seems a little extra.
Yeah, having if they could put together a winning season in Sam Darnold's first year with the offense that they have, it's not great. I mean, Isaiah Crowell as your lead back is kind of discouraging, but you put together a 9-7 team, and you have a lot of cap space for next offseason where we're expecting loads of talent.
Yeah, man. But I just looked at their schedule. I was hoping it'd be a little forgiving down the back end. It's not. I was hoping, Sam Darnold would get some games under his belt, be able to lead some team to victory. They got the Texans, the Packers, and the Patriots for the last 3 weeks. So 8-8 sounds about right.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Who knows? They might just upset the Patriots this year. Speaking of the lead dogs in this division, the Patriots up next. What they do this offseason, Reezaan?
Yeah, nothing the Patriots ever do is that attractive. I mean, trading for Brandon Cooks the last offseason, paying a lot of money for Stephon Gilmore, which hasn't really worked out for them. They don't spend a lot of money, but I felt like they needed to last year to contend, which they did. They lost in the Super Bowl. They lost some key pieces, though. I think the pieces that they lost are more important than the pieces they've gained. They lost left tackle Nate Soldier. They lost running back Dion Lewis. They lost wide receiver Brandon Cooks. They lost cornerback Malcolm Butler. They also cut a lot of their wide receivers who just really weren't fitting in their system. Eric Decker retired, cut Jordan Matthews, cut Kenny Britt. Who else did they cut? Malcolm Mitchell.
Yeah, Malcolm Mitchell.
Also cut Malcolm Mitchell.
I like him.
Yeah, they cut Malcolm Mitchell. He was coming off an injury. So we could talk about the moves they made. They signed Adrian Claiborne, defensive end from the Atlanta Falcons, to a 2-year deal. They signed Jeremy Hill to a 1-year deal, and they re-signed Rex Burkhead to a 3-year deal. So no crazy moves. Like I said, I think what they've lost is more important than what they've gained. Nonetheless, this is the New England Patriots. Tom Brady is still there. Bill Belichick is still there. What do you guys expect?
Yeah, I think they lost a lot, but their starters aren't that different from what they were last year. They've never had consistent receiver play in the past 3 years, so I think they're pretty much right where they were with that. It's the Patriots, man. They're going to come out contend, probably win more than 10 games, probably closer to 12.
Yeah, I don't really like to count the Patriots out, but I also don't like the Patriots, so I'm kind of hoping they don't have a good year. I'm kind of secretly hoping they don't, but, you know, Tom Brady always does his thing. And you're right, they have lost a ton of pieces, a ton of really good ones that actually mean a lot to this team. And Belichick likes to act like it's always just next man up and we don't need any real talent because we always got bodies. But it's only a matter of time before he kind of runs out of talent. But we've only been saying
he's
this
done
for
that his whole
5
career,
years.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've been saying this for
his whole
a really
career.
long time. With that being said, I do think the losses this year are going to make a major difference. And I think they've lost some depth, especially on like that offensive line. Losing their rookie that they just drafted, I think is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Especially since they lost Nate Soldier. Like, they're going to need bodies, and they're losing them. The best players on their team are obviously Tom Brady and then Gronk. And Gronk's day-to-day, no matter what his health report says, because it's only a matter of time before he goes out for 4 or 5 games. I don't know if this is their year that they continue to be the Patriots that they have been for decades. I think this year some of the ruthless roster decisions kind of come back to hurt them. I think this is it. So this year, I'm saying it here, Patriots are having an off year. Granted, they're in a shitty division, so off year is probably like 10 wins. But
yeah, which is still a pretty good year.
Which is still a really good year, but it won't look the same, and I bet that they lose to some of the better teams in the league. They'll just beat up on the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins 6 straight times.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I think this is the last year of the Patriots dynasty. Tom Brady's 41. Look, like I said it 2 years ago when he beat the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl that I thought once he did it that the following season would be his last year, but he played at a pretty high level last year. But I'm going to keep, like, my thing is that you can't keep doing what you're doing. Like, it's impossible to play at the level he plays at. And I don't think it's just Tom Brady, right? Like, Gronk thought about retiring this offseason, and with the history that Gronk has had with injuries, I can see why. And the Patriots still haven't given him a new contract. He could demand to be traded because he could see the falling out happening. There's rumors of disgruntled between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Tom Brady realized that it's always the next man up in the Patriots system and that Bill Belichick is ruthless. And he doesn't care how many Super Bowls you've won. He will replace you if he feels like your play is starting to fall off. And Brady felt threatened by that and went to the owner Robert Kraft and had Jimmy Garoppolo traded. And I completely see that playing out in this situation where Belichick says, look, dude, you've done great for us, but I think your time is up. And I think as soon as Brady shows even a glimpse of that, it's done. And I don't think Brady can keep playing at that level. I think this team's going to fall out next year. But with that said, I still expect them to win 10 to 11 games. This is just the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick's smarter than any other head coach in the NFL. And he'll show us again why this year. I expect them to be contending.
So Vegas has the Patriots winning 11 games. Yeah, like I said, 10-6. So I'm going to go under. Even though I think a push is very possible, but I'm going to go under.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm going to go push. I think they win 11.
Yeah, I'm going push too.
All right. There goes the AFC East, and as usual, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've got the Patriots at number 1, the Jets at number 2, and depending on which side of the fence you're on, the Bills at number 3 and the Dolphins at number 4.
Agreed.
Oh, okay. I thought we had a little mix up with the Dolphins Bills, but yeah. Moving on to in the NFC East, we got a lot more competitive teams in this division. Way more excitement. We got the reigning Super Bowl champs in here, Dallas Cowboys. They're always exciting, and of course Odell. You know we're gonna hear from Reezaan a little later with Odell. But first, let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. What moves did they make this offseason?
The Cowboys don't ever really make a lot of off-season moves because they never have the money because Jerry Jones is very, very open with his checkbooks with the player he drafts. Call that ego, call that pride, call that smart football. They haven't won a championship in 20 years. Call that what you want. So the Dallas Cowboys, their biggest offseason move was getting a number 1 receiver. They brought in Alvin, if you want to call him a number 1 receiver, to a 2-year, $12 million deal. And they also traded for Tavon Austin, who surprisingly has gotten really good reviews from the Dallas Cowboys camp. But I think more importantly, we need to talk about this offensive line, something that we discussed last week with Travis Frederick. Zach Martin is down. He's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Tyron Smith is continuously getting hurt, and we saw what Adrian Claiborne did last year to their backup left tackle, had 6 sacks in 1 game. And like you said, with this division, it's exciting. And one of the reasons it's exciting is because other teams have solid defensive lines. This is a cause for concern. A lot of what this team's success is predicated on is their offensive line. With their offensive line, 3/5 of the way being out of the starting lineup possibly for week 1, do you think this team can hold off without their key clogs up in the front and blocking for Zeke?
They're definitely not going to be at full strength. I think they can contend as long as their backup left tackle, doesn't have a horrible game like he did last year against the Falcons. Like, as long as someone doesn't come out and play horribly like that, they're going to contend because their offense is way too talented. Dak, Zeke, they have some decent receivers. No one that really scares you at this receiver position, though. On defense, I think they're pretty young in some places. I like that they're finally getting Randy Gregory back. Maybe he'll stay in the league this time, hopefully. Jalen Smith is very talented. They drafted Banderesh to solidify the linebackers. Their secondary really scares me, though. Like, their secondary is really bad. So that's probably the biggest weakness on their team besides their offensive line right now. Hopefully once they get everyone back, or they do get everyone back, they're back to full strength and what we know this team can do.
Yeah, I don't see the Cowboys competing without their offensive line. To me, it's like that's one of their strong suits and one of the things that made them competitive in the last few years. And so it's like you take away another team's best weapon, their quarterback, or their all-pro receiver, whatever it is. And that's what the Cowboys are to me. And it just so happens that they're not that well built around that offensive line. Dak, I kind of like Dak. I'm not as high as some of the other young quarterbacks, but he's still a pretty good young quarterback. I love Zeke. I mean, how could you not? I'm not confident in their receivers. I don't think Hearns is the number 1. Tavon Austin is we'll see. Their defense is young and improving, but they're not there yet. I don't see their defense being good enough to carry the offense, and I see Dak struggling without this offensive line and without receivers, and Zeke being contained because you only have to focus on Zeke. With the average defense, that doesn't say contention to me. That just says average as usual, like they've been I'm pretty sure they've been 500 the last 10 years, 12 years. I think this is going to be another one of those 500 kind of years, or very close to it. They need those big hogs up front back.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, and I've always said it, I've said it since Zeke was drafted. Alvin, you and I had a little wager on how many yards Zeke would have his rookie year. The reason I believed in him so much was because of that offensive line. I have always said, as long as those 3 key pieces are there, I will believe in the Dallas Cowboys. With 2 of the 3 pieces almost certain to miss the first game of the year, I am no longer believe in them continuing to contend. Even when Zach Martin comes back, it's hard for me to believe in the division that they play in that teams won't be eating on Dak Prescott. Tyron Smith is always in and out of the lineup. He's almost like Rob Gronkowski. Is like he's day to day, no matter what his health report says, and he's always hurt. Something's always bothering him, and it's just a a build-up of when
Mm-hmm.
is he going to miss a game. And, the Cowboys, like you said, their receivers aren't great. They lost Jason Wynn to retirement this year. They don't have Dez on this team anymore. They have no continuity. And their defense, they're definitely building something there, but it's going to take some time. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, who led the league in sacks. He's on the franchise tag. But a lot of the draft picks they made were luxury picks. Drafting a linebacker in the first round when you have Sean Lee there was kind of luxury to me. I get Sean Lee misses games, but you had other key pieces to fill. In the second round, instead of looking for a receiver, they went after Connor Williams, who hasn't looked good at all playing offensive guard in the NFL through 3 preseason games. So my outlook on the Dallas Cowboys isn't all that high. While I do like Zeke a lot and I like Dak Prescott a lot, I'm not a believer in this team this year. They're going to have to do something about their cap space also because they're paying a lot of money to that offensive line for them not to be playing. And Dak Prescott and Zeke are going to get paid a lot of money, and it's going to happen sometime pretty soon. I think this is Dak's going into his 3rd year, correct?
I believe so.
Correct, yeah.
And as we've seen, quarterbacks that are going into their final year of their contract don't play that final year of their contract without an extension. So the Cowboys are going to have to pay Dak Prescott next year, and the amount of money you have to pay for a young, talented quarterback is going to be out the roof by next year. So I hope the Cowboys have a plan.
Yeah, I hope they do, and it doesn't. And I think it's gonna be about paying Dak this year, but I think they're gonna do something like mid-season. I think they want to see him. I think they want to see him. I'm not gonna say like under pressure, but kind of in this offense as it is. I want to see him like this. Before I pay Dak what he wants, I want to see him out there with just Zeke and average or below average offensive line. Let's see if he can make some shake like this. I know it's not gonna look the same, but I still want to see what he's made of with almost nothing before I write my checkbook out to this franchise quarterback.
I mean, he has been gifted that offensive line his first 2 years. So,
and
yeah, I agree.
Running back,
and he had a good receiver. Dez didn't have the best years, but he was still Dez.
The reason we talked about Josh Allen maybe not playing his first year is because of a bad offensive line and a questionable run game with LaShawn McCoy getting older. Dak had the perfect – I don't know if a quarterback's ever been drafted into a perfect situation like that with one of the best offensive lines already and one of the best running back prospects in some time. One of the things that this team was able to do really well is milk the clock. I mean, our teams have played the Dallas Cowboys. It's frustrating watching that every single play you're getting 5 to 6 yards carrying the football. Every single play, and the clock does not stop. And without that offensive line, the clock's going to go by faster. That defense is going to be able to field a little longer. Mm-hmm. And I think we all agree that they're not built for that. Their defense is not built to get into shootouts and those sorts of matches.
Defense or offense, I think no one's built for shootouts. Like, no part of their team is built for shootouts.
Yeah.
And they're looking like they may get caught in a few shootouts, which is not good for them at all.
Yep.
All right, they're at 8.5. How y'all feel? That's a good over/under too.
Yeah, that is.
I'm
gonna go under. I'm gonna go 8 and 8.
Yep. I'm going under too. I got them at 8 and 8. Maybe 7 and 9 though.
Yeah, I'm going under. I think they're 6 and 10 or 7 and 9.
Wow, 6 and 10 is low.
Yeah, it's just like that. The offensive line is so much like exponentially better than like the next best one. Being without that, like
Not only that,
it's this team can hold.
It's also better than their next best like unit on their team. It's so much better than the next thing they have. Which the next thing they have is maybe Zeke. He's only the only unit on that team that you could argue might be as good as that offensive line.
Yeah, I would say that offensive line as a unit is probably, when they're healthy, when they're playing at their top, is probably a top 5 unit of some sort
in the league.
In the NFL.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the best offensive line without a doubt.
But it might be like
I'm
the
saying
best
in all
unit.
positions, top 5 units throughout the NFL.
Oh, and that's a good discussion. That's a real interesting. What are some of the best units in the NFL? Like the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, better. Oh no, that's a good one though. The Texans D line, that's close. They got hit.
Yeah,
them two.
We'll talk about it in our next episode. How about that?
yeah. We'll come back to that. Rain, take that one.
8.5. I'm going under. I say 8 and 8.
All right. Next up, without any further ado, Reezaan shitty New York Giants. What the fuck did they trash us do this year?
one of the most unpredictable teams in the league. When they're expected to do crap, they go 11-5. When they're expected to contend, they go 3-13. A huge part of this team has been their offensive line. Brought in Nate Solder, made him at the time the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL, giving him a 4-year, $62 million contract. Also brought in Jonathan Stewart, who hasn't looked very good. Brought in Kareem Martin, who has a lot of potential in this system. He came from the Cardinals, and the Giants brought in James Butcher, the Cardinals' old defensive coordinator, and they drafted Saquon Barkley, number 2, giving way for Eli Manning to be the quarterback of this team for another 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years. I know how I feel about the Giants. How do you guys feel?
What are y'all gonna do about Eric Flowers?
He is now our right tackle. He's actually playing better on the right side than he did on the left.
I mean, he can't play any worse.
Yeah, and so he is playing better. I agree with you that he was the worst left tackle in the league for the past 3 seasons, and the Giants kept playing him until we got a new GM that finally took him out of there. He's looking okay at right tackle. He's still probably one of our worst offensive linemen, to be honest.
Y'all are kind of like, not exactly, but in the same boat as the Cowboys. This offensive line is not looking good.
No, the offensive line looks...
Besides Nate Solder.
And Will Hernandez, who's looked really good.
Is he going to start for y'all?
Yeah, he's our starting left guard.
So the rookie?
Okay.
Yeah. He looked really good.
So the left side is going to be cool. Y'all are going to go heavy left side with Saquon. I mean, I like it. If it works, it works. I want to see Saquon succeed. I like him a lot. I think he has one of the best college tapes I've ever seen, one of the best college players I've ever seen. Like, he's a monster. OBJ got paid today, of course, much deserved. It's just y'all have, like, the standout players. I just don't know if you have, like, the core around them to be successful.
The depth, yeah.
Yeah, like, on the defense, your defense is really talented. You got Landon Collins, Janoris Jenkins, Olivier Vernon, Alec Ogletree.
Snacks.
Yeah, Damon Harrison. So y'all have, like, really good players, but it's just the other players that I'm worried about.
And thank you.
And the quarterback position, because what is up with Eli? This man is not going to win you a Super Bowl.
Thank you, Sam, for you literally took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, y'all got a real high-profile, big-name team, but outside of those big names, I don't know if y'all have the actual talent and substance to win some real games here. But y'all, I mean, if you're new to the pod, you might not know how I feel about the Giants. I can't stand the Giants. I do like OBJ, though, and what's pissing me off about the Giants, I ain't even gonna lie. Y'all keep getting players that I like, so it's really killing this whole I don't like y'all, because I gotta individually like Odell and Barkley, and even Evan Ingram. But I think those 3 guys performed very well this year. The rest of y'all suck, and I don't see a whole lot on this offense. I think your offensive line is going to struggle. I think Sheila is going to struggle. I think your defense is going to have not bad year, but not like the 2 years ago where y'all were one of the best defensive leagues. I think it's just a kind of average year for y'all. And kind of a dead year. Next year will probably be better if y'all draft a quarterback. But I'm not seeing a whole bunch from y'all this year. And you're in a pretty tough division.
We are in a hard division.
I don't see a lot.
Look, I definitely agree with you guys on the depth. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the reasons they won the Super Bowl is they had depth. Not just at quarterback, but almost every position in their offense and defense and special teams. The Giants definitely lack that. I think when you look at our draft history, it's garbage. It is absolute garbage. You look at 2009 to 2016, the Giants have re-signed now 2 players in those 7 years of drafting.
Wow. Jason
Pierre-Paul, who is no longer on the team, and the man who just got paid today, Odell Beckham Jr. No other player has lasted on that team from the players we've drafted. You can't win in the National Football League without winning your drafts. And I'm not saying we have to get an all-pro player every round in the draft, but we need to get players that can at least stay on the field who can contribute at some level. That's one of the reasons the Giants are so far back compared to teams like Philadelphia Eagles and the Patriots don't draft too well, but the Pittsburgh Steelers always draft for need. The Giants were really drafting for athleticism. And I guess it paid off with Odell, but it didn't work out at any other position or at any other pick in the draft.
No.
I have expectations from the Giants this year. Definitely. They're my team. Why wouldn't I? I'm not a big guy who will rely on the preseason to judge how a team's going to play because the Detroit Lions went 4-0 in the preseason and ended up 0-16 9-10 years ago. So I like what I've seen from Eli. We just haven't seen Odell and Saquon Barkley on the field at the same time, which I think is going to be a really scary sight. I think that's hard to stop with Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard on the field as well. I'm not as worried about our offensive line. Eli gets rattled when he gets pressured from the left side. His right tackle spot has never been a great one or filled by a Pro Bowl type player. His left side is the most important one, and I've seen it before. Almost everyone has seen it. If he has time, he can be a really good quarterback. It just really depends on if he has time. I don't see him losing arm strength. I think his accuracy on the deep ball has definitely gone down, but I think the arm strength is still there. The short-term accuracy is there. The medium accuracy is still there. And I'm excited about our defense because bringing in the Cardinals' James Butcher, he has led a top 5 defense in the National Football League for the past 3 seasons, even though the Cardinals' offense has been complete crap. Even without David Johnson, even without Carson Palmer, he had a top 5 defense, and that's why they were able to win games. And I'm excited about the way he's going to use Olivier Vernon, the way he's going to use Landon Collins, the type of positions he'll put Damon Snacks in, and how we're going to rush the quarterback. So I am excited about our future, but we do need to draft a quarterback soon. You guys who were with me at the draft, I was extremely happy we got Saquon, but I was also upset because we didn't have the building bridge for the future. I wanted Sam Darnold in the draft, but when I look at this team, it's hard not to be excited this offense. Things just have to click for that line, and I think we could be up there with some of the better NFL teams.
Yeah, that's a little generous. Well, you said top 15?
Better teams in the NFL.
Oh.
Like as in?
Like the Dolphins?
What do you mean?
Ravens? Or what are we doing here?
No, I could see the Giants going out there and winning 11 games if they're out the
you're
Woo! You all right, Mark? You been drinking that yak before you came on the thing? What's up?
And let me talk about Odell really quick, who isn't getting enough credit for what he did this offseason. Odell's probably the most talked about NFL player when something goes wrong, but when he's doing something right, no one really cares. Instead of not showing up to camp and holding out, he showed up every single day, went to work, showed why the Giants should pay him after questionable off seasons. I just read a crazy article about how the catch pretty much changed his career, and I think we all saw it transcend after that. And everyone knew who Odell Beckham was after that night. You saw so many players, and you're still seeing players like Le'Veon, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, Julio Jones held out earlier, who will hold out to get paid, and I'm completely okay with that. Hold out as long as you need. But when a guy's coming to work without getting paid and he's putting in work, he's being a leader on this team, he's maturing, he's handling more responsibilities, I think it shows a lot, and I think he honestly got underpaid by the Giants. He pretty much has a 3-year, $60 million deal. It could have been even more because that's how important he is to the Giants. It could go up to 3 years, $65 million, so he would be getting paid close to $22 million a year if it all works out. And I think the incentives are based on yards and touchdowns and receptions, and I think they're actually in line with his average career average, which is about 100 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So if he does that for the next 3 seasons, he's going to be getting paid close to $22 million a year. But, man, I love that kid. He's so talented, and I think all of you guys agree.
Yeah, I agree with anything speaking to Odell's talent and athleticism and impact on the game is probably underspoken almost regardless of what you said because he really can't be touched. But and you're not the first, and I don't want to really pick on you and that say it's just you. But one thing that does get to me is when we reward athletes like Odell for doing not things that like should normally be done, but like things that like in all honesty are not that hard. Yeah, Odell's been one of those diva types in the media, always got issues, and does the media gripe about things that really don't matter with Odell? For sure. Like they really nitpick with Odell, and I completely understand that complaint. But he is a star, so I get that as well. But at the same time, since then, all Odell did was stay out of the news. That's it. He showed up to work because that's his job, and then he stayed out of the news. I'm not rewarding the man for staying out of the news. He didn't have to do anything spectacular. Just don't leave the house.
I don't even care about the news as much as him showing up to camp, showing a good sign of faith.
Because, I mean, that was a
Giants.
given.
So this
we
deal
all
got
knew. We all knew if he showed up, he was going to get paid.
He was going to get paid regardless. It just would have taken longer. Yes. You think the Giants would have let him be a free agent next year?
I think it would have taken another year, and I think the money would have been much different. And we're talking about another injury thing, which is different than some of our other holdout cases. I think some of our other holdout cases, those guys would probably never get paid if they weren't serious about their money. And they don't have the same injury concerns or the same off-the-field concerns to where all you got to do is show up, and that'll be enough faith for us to pay you. Like Le'Veon,
I don't think
it wasn't
so.
just show up because he's got drug issues. He's got injury issues.
If Odell wouldn't have showed up, I think he would have gotten paid at some point this year. The process would have just taken longer. It wouldn't have been this easy. The conversation seemed pretty easy with the Giants, that him and his agent are talking to the Giants, him and his agent are close with the Giants, him and his agent have agreed with the Giants, all because he showed up. I'm not rewarding him for staying out of the news because he was still in the news. He recently he was hitting on some dude's girlfriend at a bar, and Kourtney Kardashian's ex punched him in the face, and now the guy is suing Odell Beckham for $1 million. Like, he hasn't completely stayed out of the news. What I'm happy about is that he showed up to work. He was mature about it. He let the Giants know exactly where his mindset was, and he got rewarded for that. But I completely support players holding out. It's not something that I'm saying if you hold out, you're not a good player, you're not a good team player. I completely support it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying I completely support players holding out. I also completely support players showing up to work when it's beneficial. And to me, this was Odell showing up to work because he knew it would be a better option than holding out. And I think we all knew that. Everybody, anybody who paid attention to this situation knew this would go better if he showed up. And I think we can't say the same about other holdouts. There are other holdouts where it's like, showing up might not help you. Odell, show up, you will get your money.
Odell's the third longest tenured Giant on this roster. Right, like he's a leader of this team. He's a leader of this team, no matter how you look at it. And he needed to be there. Receivers love him. The offense loves him. The kids love him. Everybody loves Odell. Everybody wants to see Odell do well, and it's going to be electrifying. He's an electrifying player. No matter how well the Giants are playing, you're always going to watch. You're going to get a good show with Odell.
For sure. But that's enough of the drama queen and OBJ. But nonetheless, that's my guy. I really do like OBJ. Over, under, Vegas got them at 7 games. Yeah, let me go under. I got 6 and 10.
You're tripping.
Yep,
you're tripping so hard.
Oh, real quick, we didn't even mention him. How y'all think Barkley's going to do? Since we did it with Zeke, give me a yard number for Barkley.
All right.
Just rushing.
I feel like he's such his receiving component is so big.
Fine. Go for it.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna say 1,200 yards rushing and 600 yards receiving.
Oh hell no!
Why?
1,200 yards, bro.
I agree. Like,
yeah, what?
They're gonna feed him the ball. I agree with 12 and 6.
They're gonna give him at least 250 carries and throw the ball to him at least 60 times or 70 times, or he's gonna have 70 receptions.
Yeah. That's
so you're telling me Barkley's not gonna have 325 touches on the ball?
No, what I'm telling you is that Barkley is not going to have an identical season to Le'Veon Bell last year. That's what I'm telling you. That's wild, bro. Or the year before.
He's going to do it, bro.
No,
I guarantee it. What? All right, let's put another wager on it. 1,800 total yards.
Let's do it. How much? 50 again?
Yeah, the 50.
Bet. Sam, you trying to get in on this? Easy money on my
y'all got it.
Easy money's over here.
It's really not. He's about to break.
He's getting 1,800. Yeah.
1,800 yards is a shit ton of yards, bro.
Yeah, and look at his
He's
touch.
He's going to touch the ball a shit ton.
He's going to have. Le'Veon Bell touched the ball 400 times.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have 400 touches.
I think he has at least 325. Put in under 6 yards per touch on the ball, and that puts you at over 1,800 yards. He's going to have at least 5.7, 5.6 yards per reception, and he's going to have, 4.5 to 5 yards per carry, or 4 to 5 yards per carry. He's going to get 1,800 yards.
Yeah. Something like, I'm not buying rookie running back with all-pro numbers. I'm not buying
we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going, Sam, are you going over under?
I'm going under.
All right, I'm going way over. Like I said, 11 and 5 is my target for the Giants.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy.
You're tripping.
Wait till the season starts.
Oh, I can't wait.
Man said 11-5, bro.
Yeah, right?
We're going to listen to this when the Giants are 11-5, and we'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course we will.
What was your prediction for the Steelers?
6-0.
All right. All right, on to the Washington Redskins.
All right, on to Washington.
Redskins, interesting team. Decided not to bring back Kirk Cousins. Brought in Alex Smith to replace him. They also brought in some receivers and some defensive help. They brought in Paul Richardson on a 5-year contract from the Seattle Seahawks. They also signed Zach Brown, linebacker, who re-signed with them, played with them last year. He re-signed on a 3-year deal. They also brought in Orlando Scandrick, who was the Dallas Cowboys' top corner last year, and cut him about 2 weeks ago. So the Washington Redskins aren't doing anything spectacular. They're an interesting team. They always seem to play pretty well. Alex Smith is one of the best game managers in the league. How do you guys think he's going to do this year?
Yeah, I'm not high on Washington at all. I don't really expect much from them. The most positive thing I saw from this offseason for them was drafting Darius Geis, and he's missing the whole year. So I'm not really sold. The receivers are mediocre. I'm pretty sure they still have Jamison Crowder, right? He's their number one. Jamison Crowder is their number one, which says nothing but 4-12 to me. Defense, I'm not. There's nothing exciting about this Washington team, to be honest with you. So I don't have much to say except for they should change their name. Other than that, there's just nothing really going on.
Yeah, I disagree. I think their defense is actually pretty good. They added Daron Payne, and Jonathan Allen is going into his second year. I expect big things out of him. Zach Brown, he's a monster. I think if their defense plays well, they could be on the top half, like a top 15 defense. And then offensive, I do agree. It sucks that Darius Geis went out because that would have completely changed this offense. But I'm interested to see what Josh Doxson does this year. He's kind of a guy that was a sleeper. Everyone expected him to come out and be a number one guy. He had a crazy year in college, and he just kind of disappointed in the NFL. So I think he's going into his second or third year.
Second year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So interested to see like what kind of jumps he makes this year, and if he turns out to be what we thought he was. Otherwise, like their offensive line is decent. I think they have one of the best offensive lines.
Yeah.
With the offensive line, I think they got enough weapons to make some shake, but they're not going to be full potential because Darius Geis is a huge loss.
Huge loss.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. The thing about the Washington Redskins is that they don't want to spend money in the offseason. They brought in Josh Norman a few seasons ago, and while that definitely has helped, he hasn't been someone who's able to completely lock down the other team's number one, and their number two isn't all that. They actually lost their number two, Brashad Breeland. So this team has question marks. They do have a solid defensive line, good linebackers, really good offensive line, game manager at quarterback, but I'm skeptical about their run game. They brought in Adrian Peterson. People think that he has a lot left in the tank. I'm not really one of those people. Receivers are subpar, though I think Jordan Reed and Alex Smith can have a special connection just like he did with Travis Kelce. Jordan Reed just needs to stay healthy. I don't think this is a playoff team, but Alex Smith never seems to be that bad. His teams are, the Chiefs are definitely better than the Redskins, but for some reason I can't see them losing more than 7 or 8 games.
Well, since you brought it up, over under 7. So Vegas got them losing 9. And I'd say push. No, I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say under, actually. I think they're right around 6-10 also. I think Alex Smith will keep him in a few games.
Yeah, I'm gonna take push. I think this team is better than the Giants.
You're tripping.
Oh.
I don't get from what we have. All right, that's a pretty bad assessment.
Well, first of all, they got Alex Smith, and y'all sorry fuckers got Sheila. So I'm gonna take Alex Smith over Eli.
Who and Matt Ryan had one more touchdown than Sheila last year with a stacked offense.
What did y'all go last year?
Sheila out here throwing passes.
How many wins did you have last year?
And who did we have playing on offense last year?
How many wins did you have?
What would Matt Ryan do without Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, and that offensive line? And without Muhammad.
What are we talking about right now? I thought we were talking about the Giants and Redskins.
I thought I think they look like Eli. I think Matt Ryan would look like Eli. Eli would look like Eli. Trash.
I'm just saying.
Not trash.
No one could have played well with that team with those injuries last year. I don't really see any quarterback being successful without his weapons and without an offensive line.
Yeah. So back to Washington. What'd you say, Sam? You said over. Reezaan, you had what?
I said push.
I said push too. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we both have them 7-9.
All right, I got them a little under. Moving on to the reigning Super Bowl champs. Save the best for last. Philadelphia Eagles.
The Eagles made some interesting moves. Traded for Michael Bennett. We'll see how much of a step he's lost. Brought in Haloi Nada to really replenish this defensive line, this stacked defensive line. Also brought in Mike Wallace, wide receiver of the former Pittsburgh Steelers, Miami Dolphins, and Baltimore Ravens on a one-year deal. So defending Super Bowl champions in a division that never seems to have a repeat. They haven't in, I think, 15 years it is now. What do you guys think about the Eagles, how they're going to fare? Carson Wentz is probably not playing week one. He might not play it for a couple of weeks. Alshon Jeffrey is probably going to be out for a couple of weeks. Where do you think this team goes?
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz, no Carson Wentz, repeat, no repeat. This team is stacked, top to bottom. And they're going to have no problem running through the sorry Giants and the rest of your division.
Well, I love it.
That's I mean, that's really all I have to say. If we talked about units in football a few minutes ago. If you look at every single one of their units, they are in the upper half of the league. They are stacked from top to bottom. So I expect another deep playoff run from them.
I completely agree with you. I think this is one of the most stacked teams in the league, and I don't know if they repeat because repeating is hard, but they're definitely going to be in contention. I think Carson Wentz is a franchise quarterback, the next great quarterback of that class. Alshon Jeffrey's going to be a little late getting back, but I don't think he's a complete difference maker. They still have loads of talent on their defense, and they just seem to keep bringing in a little bit of extra depth. Seems like every time I see them in the news, they just brought in another veteran to bring in a little more depth, as if that's what they need. So, yeah, I think they probably shit on all this division. I think maybe they lose a game in their division. I don't know to who yet, but I think they probably lose a single game in their division. Other than that, they probably wax y'all. I think they're a class ahead of everybody else in their division.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, they're.
I would say in front of most of the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I think everything you guys said, the depth that they have in almost every position, including quarterback, this is a really stacked team. I think their only cause for concern are their wide receivers. Their wide receivers seem to have a wild year last year. Zach Ertz had a career year. Alshon Jeffrey didn't have a career year, but you looked at what he was producing from the opportunities he had were insane. Nelson Aguilar definitely seemed like a bust and had a career year. So there's a lot that went into this team, and it's always timing. It's always who your head coach is, who your OC is. But their defense is still so solid at every single position. Their defensive line is still probably top 2, top 3 in the NFL. Getting Sidney Jones back, cornerback from Washington who tore his ACL or had some crazy freak injury.
Yep.
And he was going to be a consensus first-round pick, probably even top 15 pick in the 2017 NFL draft. They're getting him back from injury, which will be interesting. A lot of players who seem to get injured right before they're supposed to go out and play never seem to be as good as they should have been. but they don't need him to be that great. They're still stacked, still a really good defense. I'm just worried about the way Nick Foles has looked. The run he had was so amazing in the playoffs. Right before the season ended, he did not look good at all, and in the preseason, he has not looked good at all. I don't know if it's just he plays really well in the moments where it matters, but the season's around the corner. They're starting it against the Atlanta Falcons, and Carson Wentz is probably not going to be ready. So their offense is going to be interesting, but I think their defense should be enough to help them win. I don't know if they're going to make a deep playoff run. I think it's hard to do that, and like I said, no one has repeated in this division in the past 15 years, no matter how good a team was the year before. So it's just something that we're going to have to look forward to.
Yeah, I think this might be the year though, but that's a pretty amazing stat.
Yeah, if it's any year that I would have to bet on in the past 15 years, it would have to be this one.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. So they're over under. The Eagles is 10. How do you guys feel about 10?
I'm going over.
Me too.
Easy. I think they win 12-13. Like they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
10 games should be no problem.
Yeah, I'm going.
What are
over
you saying, Alvin?
Yeah, over. I'm with y'all. I think 12 games is very reasonable and could easily be done. Easily. 11 is like, I think if they get 10 wins this year, I would kind of feel like this is a little disappointing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
If Carson Wentz was ready to go week 1, I would no doubt give them over 10. I'd probably give them 12 or 13. I'm not buying the whole Nick Foles thing again.
Me neither.
If he has to play 4 or 5 games, they'll still be able to win games. But I think with Carson Wentz playing the first 5 games, we're looking at a 4-1, 5-0 team. With Nick Foles, we're probably looking at a 2-3, maybe 3-2 team. Just because I think Carson Wentz is that good, and I don't believe in Nick Foles making that type of run again. So to me, Carson Wentz plays more than 14 games. I could see them winning more than 11 games. If he plays less than 13 games, I don't see them winning. I'd have them push if Carson Wentz plays less than 13 games.
Yeah, I think I agree. The key is going to be Carson Wentz and how fast he gets back. But everything I'm reading, he's recovering fast, recovering well. Everything's going smooth, and
and he could only miss week 1.
Yeah, the only thing from what I heard, the thing holding him back the most is Doug Peterson. And Peterson doesn't want to play him so early, doesn't want to risk it. So from what I've heard,
and that's fine. Why would you, right? When you're back,
agreed.
Why would you risk it?
Agreed. So I'm just saying he should be back soon. I've heard nothing bad coming from his injury camp. But yeah, that's our NFC East, and I'm sure we're gonna have some disagreement here. But at first, I got the Eagles, and then the Cowboys, and then I'm gonna say Washington, and then Giants. Anybody disagree out there?
Yeah,
definitely,
for sure.
All right, where am I wrong here?
I got Eagles, then I got the Giants, Cowboys, and Redskins.
Sam, what about you?
Wow. First off, I like this. It's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
This is the first one that we've actually had to think about. But Eagles first, of course, and then I'm gonna actually say Redskins second, Giants third, and Cowboys last.
Wow. So we all have different. We all have the same consensus at the top, but different.
But everything else is.
And honestly, that's how this division is.
Yeah,
that's just how this division is.
It's a huge toss-up.
And to our credit, Vegas has their over/under at 10, 7, 7, 8.5. So Vegas has a large gap and then a really close teams. But I was gonna see if I could come up with a consensus of our 3, best 2 out of 3 or some shit. But we are all on different worlds here, so we can't even do that.
And in this team, it's usually 2 teams that people didn't expect to do well that do well. Yeah. I mean, no one expected 2 years ago the Dallas Cowboys to go 12-4. Most people expected a 6-win season, they go 12-4. The Giants go 11-5, a team that people didn't expect. The next season, it's again Giants and Cowboys based off the previous season, and they're the 2 bottom teams in the division. So this is one of the craziest divisions in football, and it's always fun to watch. But it's never a division that has continued success, which is why I can't wait to see what the Eagles actually do winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because y'all have so many good. I don't even think it's repeated that you can't keep being good year after year. I just think you have a lot of big markets that continuously are good. On any given year, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys could be contenders on any given year.
I'm pretty sure over the past 11 seasons, this division has produced 3 Super Bowl champions, like 4 number 1 teams in the NFC. It's always a division that's contending, but we never know which team will contend.
Yeah, and it's spread around, so that's good. Keep it interesting. And that wraps up our divisional conversation this week. So we did the NFC and AFC East. So thank you all for listening to our divisional matchup and divisional rounds this week. To wrap it up, we're going to touch on the Jaguars and Jalen Ramsey's comments. I'm sure you guys have seen Marcus Lee is going to be out this year with a torn ACL after he took a nasty hit in a preseason game last week. But that's not necessarily the big news. Big news is Jalen Ramsey came out talking like he always does and basically said that it's not fair to blame the defender who hit Marcus Lee, but instead blame the NFL because their rule application has now led players instead hitting for heads or going chest area, but to take out players' legs, ankles, and stuff like that. This is not for the record, Jalen Ramsey is not the first one to say this. This has been said for years. I don't know if you guys remember when Larry Fitzgerald came out and said, I'd rather people go for my knees. I think Gronk has said the same thing like 6 years ago.
They said they'd rather people go for their knees?
No, I'm sorry. They said they'd rather players go for their head. My bad.
Oh, okay.
They both said, Gronk and Larry both said they'd rather people go for their head instead of their knees because they know knee injuries are automatic year off the books. But 6-7 years ago, James Harrison said the same thing, a very similar thing about what these kind of rules are teaching NFL defenders. So how do you guys feel about it, and what's your take?
Yeah, I think the league's not backing off of this rule. They said that they expect a 3-year turnaround. That's going to take 3 years for teams to really understand it. The penalties that were being called, we're not really seeing a lot of them called as much anymore. Someone came out and said it's about a penalty and a half a game, but we watch football. We all know that 15 yards or 22 and a half yards can really be a difference maker in a win or lose game. What I think Jalen Ramsey said is absolutely right, is that players are just going to start going lower, and the NFL is not a fully guaranteed league. We just saw Odell today. He has a $95 million contract, but 65 of that is guaranteed for injury. And that's not fair to the players, right? Like, you're giving them contracts, but you're putting the rules to where they're going to get hit low, end their season, and you're not giving them their whole entire contract. We've seen it a lot with players getting hurt and then getting released or getting cut because they're not valuable to the team anymore. Well, if we're going to implement these rules, then we need to implement a fully guaranteed policy where every single contract in the NFL is fully guaranteed for injury no matter what happens. I think what happened to Marquise Lee is unfortunate. It's a play in the game. There's always injuries in football. I won't say that this injury is directly because of the new rule that's come out. It's a bang-bang type league. And we've seen some crazy hits, and players have come back from them. But I think the league needs to do a better job of realizing what's important to the players and actually listening to them when trying to go out and make rules. And I think players need to have a say in the rules that are being made because these grown-ass men sitting at the table aren't playing the game. They're not a part of it. These players are, and I think they need to have more of a say. And players like Jalen Ramsey need to have a seat at the table.
Sam?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I disagree, though, that you said it's not so much the NFL's fault, and I think it's completely the NFL's fault. I agree with Jalen Ramsey because in no other situation other than trying to avoid a penalty does he go for that tackle. Like, I've never seen a single NFL player go for the knees in that situation. It's a direct casualty of the rule. Like, we're trying to avoid penalties. So that's what I disagree on.
And that was going to be my next question. Well, you guys feel the play is dirty in any way? Like, do you feel like the player committed a dirty hit, dirty play?
No.
Man, I think the hit, here's my take on Marquise Lee. I need to look at that play again.
Yeah.
Is Marquise Lee falling when the guy comes and hits him?
It didn't look that way, but it did look like he was like braced for a hit.
Falling to the ground, right?
Like I'm not gonna say going. I think it looked to me like he's getting lower to the ground for whatever reason. I don't know if he's falling.
Like almost like he was lowering his shoulder.
Yes. Like
and he's a short guy already. Like this dude's like 5'9.5" or some shit.
It looked to me like he was bracing for the hit. Yeah, to me the play's not dirty, especially when you add that rule thing in. Like I wouldn't want to see a play like this in the preseason though. That's the problem for me. Like, and I understand it's a hard, like the same thing with Odell last year when he had that ankle injury. I understand it's a hard switch to turn off. This isn't a play you'd make in practice. You would never hit a guy like this in practice. And I understand in preseason, these guys aren't your teammates. So it's not the same as practice, but it's also not the same as the game. It's a fine line. I completely understand that. But I just hate to see hits like this in the preseason because these games are meaningless, absolutely meaningless. And regardless of the rule, that's a dangerous play. Like just watching that live, when I watch it, I'm like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
Make sure his knees are okay because that's a dangerous play. Yeah. And to your point, Reezaan, this is like another contradiction or double standard, whatever you want to call it, of the NFL. Like they're all about safety and player safety when the players got to make the change. The NFL is not doing anything to me that's like we're trying to structurally change the system of this game and not necessarily just the way the game is played on the field. I think the NFL is bigger than that. And so if y'all really want to protect players, like then we had a lot of preseason games with a lot of people getting hurt, tearing ACLs and stuff like that. Maybe we should limit some of those. Like you said, guaranteed contracts would be a great compromise as far as player safety. Getting some players getting some active players a part of the conversation. There are a lot of things the NFL could do that they're just not really doing. But instead they want players and refs to make all these changes and the fan just accept it as what it is. But it's tough.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Marcus Lee video right now. Marcus Lee is kind of a short dude. He's not your typical wide receiver. I think he's like 5'10", 5'11". It almost looks like he's bracing for the hit, but didn't expect the hit to come that low. Like the way he puts his shoulders down, he's expecting to get kind of hit in his chest and maybe even trucked, but he's not expecting a hit that low. So
I think what Sam said is like incredibly accurate. I don't think that play happens if that rule doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's like because I think there's a lot at play, and the dude does go abnormally low here. Like Sam's right. No one goes that low to make a tackle for a receiver.
And that the receiver of that size. I'm talking about a big receiver in which I need to go low. This is Marcus Lee.
We're talking about
lay him out if you wanted to.
Yeah, we're talking about Dez Bryant. Yeah. I mean, Dez is 6'3" or 6'2", whatever the hell he is. You could kind of hit him high. But this guy, Marquise Lee, and I guess those are the types of receivers you need to look out for now is, that's going to be something that's going to be talked about and discussed. And I think Jalen Ramsey's right.
I think he's right with this hit specifically. I think there are going to be other hits. Like I think somebody claimed the same thing for Odell's hit last year, and I didn't feel the same way. I think there are some times where you just catch people at bad angles and you get their knees or whatever. But this looks, to me intentional.
They said that about Odell's hit in preseason. I don't know if you guys remember that. We were playing the Cleveland Browns, and someone went really low on Odell.
Oh, yeah, I
that's what I'm talking
that.
about. And they broke his ankle. Or I think he sprained it, right? He didn't break it.
He sprained his ankle and then he was never 100%, and then broke his knee later that same season, like 3 or 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in.
And I remember them claiming that about Odell, and Odell's hit didn't have the same feel. Odell's hit looked like you were trying to hit somebody low, and you caught him, and his ankle just got fucked up. But this looked bad, and it looks like something I don't think the NFL really wants.
No, they definitely shouldn't want this. This is just a bang-bang play trying to avoid a penalty, and I think he ended up still getting a penalty.
Yeah, he did.
For what?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Because the rule
ridiculous.
is the rule isn't about placement of the hit. It's like leading with your helmet, and so regardless of where you put it on their body, you lead with your helmet is a penalty, and so it's like.
Yeah, and let's also talk about the Jaguars and Marquise Lee. I mean, this is my Super Bowl team, the team that I expected to be in the Super Bowl. I told you guys that was my pick. Marquise Lee just signed a new 4-year contract. Now, coming back from an ACL injury, you have D.D. Westbrook, you have Keenan Cole, you have other people that you need to pay. Marquise Lee might not be on this team next year because of this injury and because they might have other guys that come out and show out. No receiver is going to hold themselves back because Marquise Lee is out. They're going to grind harder to get paid. And that's the type of position I hate to see players in.
So potentially the NFL is ruining Marcus Lee's tenure with the Jaguars because of a bunch of rules and stipulations that they have that don't help the players. And that's
exactly.
That's not a good look. Not a good
The
look
preseason needs to be limited to 2 games. I get that the fourth preseason game is really for the backups and the third strings and the fourth strings, people fighting for a roster spot. There's 90 people on teams right now. Then it goes to 53. So that's a huge number of people to cut from your team. But make it 2 games. Make it 1 game where you play the starters, you get a feel for the offense. No team actually goes and does what they want to do in the preseason. No team shows their true colors, especially for a team like the Jaguars who have such high aspirations and have added new weapons. It just doesn't make sense.
Another thing I'd like, I think 2 is kind of low. I would do 3 and 1 game for your actual players, your veterans, give them a half or 2, and then a game, maybe another game of a mix, but 1 game purely for throwaways. The last 40 people on the roster, y'all are going to get to play. We'll see which ones y'all are going to make the roster, but we're not playing any real NFL players today.
Yeah, which is usually the third preseason game. By the third preseason game, the starters play the first half, and then they're done.
Exactly. And I'm okay with, I would like to see the second preseason game, third preseason game, and fourth game. So, second game, we're playing kind of a mixed bag. Third game, we're playing our starters with the scrubs coming in very shortly. And the fourth game is just scrubs. Let's see which scrubs will make the team. And if they get hurt, not their lives mean any less, but they've got less to risk, and they're more willing to risk it for a roster spot. Big Ben isn't risking his livelihood for nothing in a preseason game, but Joshua Dobbs might, or Landry Jones might, somebody down the rosters might. So I think that'd be a great addition, a great change in the system. And just a side note, do you guys, real talk, y'all like the helmet stuff, the head protection and stuff?
I thought last year it was the perfect balance. They called the real malicious stuff, and it wasn't every single time. I thought the hit on Marquise Lee shouldn't have been a penalty.
Yeah. I agree.
I liked how it was last year.
How you?
I could definitely see where a lot more players are being open about their concussions and saying my head's not right or I'm not feeling well. And I think the league's doing a better job. If a player looks like he's taking a hard hit, they take him out of the game. And until he seems to be evaluated, they don't put him back in. I think teams need to do a better job of actually looking at the players, because it seems like sometimes they just take them to the side and then put them back in.
I do think they need to do something about players lowering their helmets in situations. I think they need to do something about that, but I don't think this was it. I don't think this was the solution, and I think this is creating a lot of confusion. They're talking about a 3-year process, which to me, anytime it takes you 3 years to put in a rule, something not right. But 3 years and a lot of confusion, a lot of fines, and potentially a lot of injuries, a lot of other year-long injuries, and players getting mad. And I don't think they want that at all either. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that's it. I think that's all our frustration on the NFL's rules.
Yeah, man, and they're fucking terrible. But I would say they're getting better, but I don't quite think they are. As usual, thanks to all the listeners out there listening to this episode and any episodes in the past. We strongly encourage y'all to come back for more. Like I said, we're going to have one later this week with another 2 divisions, more excitement. So come back. Please listen. This is PSA, Public Sports Announcement. You can listen to us on Go Defy Life and SoundCloud. Please reach out to us in any way that you can. We really do want to hear from as many fans as we can. And we love to hear from y'all. Again, thoughts and prayers to anyone affected by that Madden event shooting in Jacksonville. And that's it for PSA. We out.